think they fall in a trap when they start to use two words I don't like to use,
What's
but
that?
I find myself using them quite a bit, and it's
Well, good day. I'm Steve,
and I'm Steve.
and this is the Steve and Steve Show. Welcome to one more episode of this. Steve, what are we going to talk about today?
I think the idea was something about Gilligan's Island.
Gilligan's Island. How many of you out there have watched Gilligan's Island? When I was a kid, it was probably one of my favorite shows. However, there was something on it, Steve, for me that just irritated the heck out of me. And that was the fact that you always felt like, oh boy, this time they're really going to get off the island. And they never got off the island.
Yeah. Many episodes where I've cut myself watching and thinking that they're going to make it this time, right?
And they don't make it. So
Not till the end.
Yeah, and I never watched that one. Frankly, I was like, it was...
Yeah, they did eventually get off the island.
Okay, well...
But that last episode wasn't very good.
Well, that's an excellent kind of segue into what we're going to talk about today.
Why do we have empty glasses?
That's a good point. So today, we're going to get into some a little heavier stuff. So we decided that maybe we need to have some beer for this one. So we're drinking a little beer on this.
And this is, if you're not of age, don't be drinking beer.
Oh, shoot. And that's going over. Well, we said this was unscripted. And there it goes. Look at that. That's pretty cool. See if I can do this one a little less like there.
That'll be another video on how to appropriately pour beer.
Your beer. And you would think that I would have some experience in that. You take that one and I'll do this one here. Anyway, the idea is the Gilligan's Island syndrome. I think that's ours.
I think that was one that you came up with one morning.
Okay, so what is the Gilligan Island syndrome?
So it's like today's news, right?
Okay.
That's kind of where we got the topic from, is today's news. So right now, as we're speaking, there is an impeachment trial going on. And I think a lot of us get caught up in what's going to happen, right? It's that drama, that cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Right? So we want to go and watch the next guy's speech. We want to catch the next thing, because you never know when that the shoe is going to drop, the mic's drop. Right? What's the big thing? And so they leave us every single time into a cliffhanger, just like Gilligan's Island.
Just like Gilligan's Island. It's the same thing with the next piece of news. So this time it's the impeachment, then there's the virus, and there's the financial collapse. And what is it next on the news that's just going to bring you up to the cliff and just leave you hanging there?
Yeah.
It's like, don't you get tired of that?
I think people get stuck in that.
Absolutely. And that's the key right there. People get stuck in having to go back for the next one. And in the end, what does going back to the next one do to your day, to your life, to your work? What does it?
Yeah, so it kind of sucks the life out of you, right?
Absolutely.
Takes minutes from being productive. You end up sitting there and you think, I'm only going to watch 5 minutes, catch up. And then the next thing you know, it's like 3 hours later and you really haven't learned anything new, but it just sucked the life out of you and it sucked all the time away because you got sucked into their drama.
You went to Twitter, you went to Instagram, you went to Facebook, you went to the different news sites because one leads to the next one, right? Well, Let me ask you, are there always new things that you discover as you get led by the nose to the next one, the next social platform? It's the same.
Yeah, I don't know if it's anything new, but certainly it's enough, right, to let you think that there's something coming. So we might get a taste, a teaser. There might be a little bit, but that little bit always is like the next clue, kind of like National Treasure. Did you ever see that show?
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah.
So it was like one clue after another clue after another clue.
Right. So in the end, it ends up being a flat out 100% distraction.
That's right.
We were talking a little bit about distraction the other day, and how what the heck is that? Something keeps distracting me on my phone here, my
someone's
watch.
texting
you. But what distraction ends up doing, so somebody says, I don't have enough time to do this or that or that. And then you start to actually do an accounting of what are the distractions in my day. And let's just use the example you gave with you start to watch one thing that this is going to take 10 minutes, that's it. And then that 10 minutes turns into 20, 30, an hour. Maybe in a day, you might, let's just be really conservative and say that, all you do in distraction time is a couple hours. Let's just say it's a couple hours. 2 hours, 7 days a week. Well, let's just go to 30 days in a month. That's 60 hours a month.
Yep.
Times 12. I'm an English major. Help me out with the math here, brother.
Well, if you're doing 60 hours in a month, right? We work 40 hours a week, roughly.
Oh my Lord. A week and a half.
But that's like a full-time job for a week.
It is a full-time job.
So what could you do with that, right? Could you start a side gig, go drive Uber,
write a book?
Write a book. There's other things that people can, maybe they go volunteer someplace.
Absolutely.
Right? And so there's things that they can do with their time. Perhaps it's working on one of your goals, or you have incompletes on your list, things that you want to get done, you want to get cleaned up. And so maybe using that time in a month, 60 hours a month, that's a lot of time you could put on one of those activities, right?
What if you spent those 60 hours with your significant other, with a family member, at your church helping out? But really, what about a relationship? Could you do something in a relationship to work on it for 60 hours? Do you think that would make a change?
Could replace one bad habit for another bad habit.
Right.
Maybe that other bad habit is maybe not so bad, right? We had a friend earlier today talk about board games, right? So my kids play board games, and it can be a distraction for them, but the relationship building that they're having during those board games is huge. So giving up watching the news or digging into the stuff that just kind of cliffhangers, really never has any resolution. And really, there's not a whole lot you can do about what's going on around the world. I mean, you could vote, you can be activist in some level, but a lot of that stuff that you're watching on the news and all that negativity stuff is not, there's not a whole lot you can do around that.
In terms of changing it.
Right. Or it's not going to really impact your life today, maybe long term. Maybe there might be some law that changes or some impact that changes that may have impact on your life. But for right now, what's going on, there's not a whole lot there. But if you spent that time with your kids or your spouse, volunteering at the church, or
a friend that you haven't seen for a long time, you reconnect with that friend, not on Facebook. You actually reconnect, nothing against Facebook, but you reconnect in person with somebody that you haven't seen for a long time. Right. What if you even spent 3 hours with that person?
Or what if they spent 10 minutes watching us?
10 minutes? Wow, cheers on that. Hey, you know what? We haven't even tried this beer, so we have no idea.
I did try it.
You did try it?
Yeah.
I didn't see. How is it?
It's not too bad. I don't generally like dark beers, but this one isn't too bad.
That's not bad at all. And it was free. And that's pretty. Rybach Lager.
Free beer.
Not bad. Not bad. Well, anyway, I mean, the point is we can be led by the things that are what we've defined here as distractions. We can be led by them in the Gilligan's Island syndrome of, I have to see the next one. I have to see the next one, that draws you in. And, frankly, I think that if you did an inventory of your day, would you agree, Steve, that 2 hours is probably pretty light?
Yeah, I think so. So I think it kind of comes down to people being more aware of what they're doing, right? Being present to all that. I think they fall in a trap when they start to use two words I don't like to use, but I find myself using them quite a bit. And it's one of them is just, and the other one is only. So I'm just gonna sit down for 5 minutes. We're only gonna sit down for 5 minutes, right? And the next thing I know, those 5 minutes have like 60-minute friends that come along with and take up spots on my couch.
You're absolutely right, and they never leave. Frankly, they just don't leave. Those friends show up, and what we're talking about, friends, are those distractions. They just show up, and they kind of multiply like rabbits. You know, I mean, they just, or like something, but they just multiply into more time until you find out. Again, if you do that inventory, I think if you're very honest about it, you'd find that there's a lot of time, a lot more than 1 week, where that time has been completely wasted. In fact, we had a recent experience. I think we were having breakfast with some friends, and one of them pulled out a phone at the breakfast table, right? And they started looking at it, and that turned into another person pulling out their phone, and another person, and it spread like wildfire until everybody who is sitting at this table having a nice, pleasant family type meal turned into people looking at their phones nonstop. Now, nothing wrong with a phone. And I think one of the people even said, "I'm not looking at my phone. This is a small computer that gives me all kinds of information." Whatever, right?
And I'm sure it just started out as just a quick look.
Only this.
That's right.
In fact, one of them, I think, said, "I'm just looking at my granddaughter." Okay, that's legit. That is. The point is those rabbits that it creates.
That's right.
What it procreates, it runs a bunch of rabbits through the place into distraction rabbits. Distraction rabbits.
Distraction rabbits. Gilligan's Island.
Gilligan's Island syndrome.
We're coming up with some really good stuff.
Oh, we got to put all this down in the bottom of this channel. Gilligan's Island syndrome. Start passing that around. In fact, hashtag that thing, you folks that are into hashtags.
That's a Wastenberg phrase there.
That's Steve and Steve.
Gilligan's Island
syndrome. And rabbit distractions. No.
Rabbit distractions. Speaking of distractions, we probably should wrap this up.
Oh, shoot. All right, great. Well, anything else to close on a really,
Let's kind of do a quick summary. So the Gilligan's Island syndrome, it's the cliffhanger scenario where we think something's going to happen, that it's going to get better, but it never really does. So
but you keep going back.
Keep going back, and that's, watching the news, the negativity that's going on. You get distracted from what you could be doing, wasting or spending a lot of time in areas you don't want to be spending time or shouldn't be spending time. And maybe you could repurpose those activities or that time to spend on better activities
that you might have neglected. Something.
And then we also talked about just and only, the two words that we really try to eliminate from our vocabulary. And it's just 1 minute, only 1 minute, 5 minutes, whatever you want to put. Could even be the just only one chip.
Right. Oh dear. Did you have to bring food up?
That's right. Or just one.
One
always
beer.
Starts just one beer.
I got more in there just in case.
Right. So anyways, that's kind of a quick summary of it.
And find those things that would benefit. So turn lemons into lemonade by finding those things that you could take that time and turn it into something that would really be creative and inspiring for yourself, or really better yet for somebody else, right?
Yeah. So one of the best things that you could do for us is hit the subscribe button.
Please.
So you get notification. Oh, and the bell. Hit the bell button so you get notifications that when we do produce a new video. We're going to do one of these once a week.
At a minimum.
That's right. And do us a great big favor: like, share, help us get this channel out. It would be very appreciative. So.
And if you don't like us, well, just don't say anything.
Or just put a negative comment.
You do that. We want feedback. Right?
All right, Steve.
Cheers.
Cheers. The next time.
All right. Who's going to get up and shut that off?
I guess it would be.
Well, somebody has to, and I can't reach it. Almost.